Do 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 do. Teaching students chemistry. Gonna mix some molecules. Do, 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 do. Oh, hi, come on in. Come on in. Yeah, come on in. Your name should be on the board here. Yeah, just go ahead and find your seat. What's that? Well, it's so nice to meet you. My name is Dr. Frostbite. I'm your chemistry lab teacher. Yes. Go ahead and sit down. I will get started in just a second. Alright. Well, hello everyone. Just to make sure everyone has the right class, this is Chemistry 1 with Dr. Frostbite in room A202, correct? Everyone here? Here? Because I'd hate for you guys to be marked absent if you're in the wrong class, so I would just double check. Anywho, hello. For those who have not seen me in the hallways or at any of the dances, my name is Dr. Frostbite. I am the school's chemistry teacher, and it is super nice to have you all in this class for the very first time. And I am more than excited to be your chemistry lab teacher. Alrighty, go ahead and take out a notebook and flip to an open page because we are going to go get started with the synopsis, and we are going to get started with some basic chemistry safety rules, and I'm pretty sure that's all the time we'll have for today. Alright, when you're ready, just go ahead and put your head down so then I know when to continue. Also, if you guys need any pencils or any other writing utensils, you always have some right up here for you, just so you guys know. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay, so go ahead. Can I have two people come pass these papers out? Yeah, I'll pick... You know what, you came to say hi to me. Why don't you go ahead and pass these out? So, just so you know, you're my favorite student right now. Yeah. Okay, everyone? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all these rules, and then now I just need you to make a numbered line from 1 through 15, and I just need you to write down the main bolded part you see up here on the board and just a little bit of a description of the rule, okay? Alrighty. Okay. Rule number 1, and this is always important. Always wear safety goggles, and I'm not talking about, the goggles you'll find, anywhere around. These have to be department-approved goggles. Now, for all those who are wearing really fancy glasses or anything in that nature that's already department-approved, you are completely fine. You just gotta come check with me, and then I'll make sure to let you wear those glasses, especially if they're prescription, right? Yeah. So, let's see. Let's see if I can have someone read this next one out. You in the back. You may never eat or drink in the lab. That is correct. Can someone give me a reason why we would not want to do that? What? You're close, but not exactly there. Hey, you. Sorry, I need to learn your name. Do you think you can tell me why? Yes, I'm talking to you. Food may pick up toxic chemicals. It doesn't matter where your food is, it could accidentally get spilled in any way, or if anything gets on your food, that becomes contaminated, and then if you eat that, let's just say it's not going to be a very fun call home to your mom or to the hospital. So just make sure, if I hand out food when we're in this classroom, but then we go into the laboratory, I will expect you to leave that food in here, because there's just no food permitted in the laboratory whatsoever, because I don't want to be responsible for someone getting sick after eating something that was not supposed to be in the lab. Alright? Yeah, that includes gum, so no, nothing edibly chewy in the, lab. Water? Probably not either. Anything that can be ingested would probably only be used in this classroom. That anything you need to eat or anything should be in this classroom. Never ever should it go in the lab. Alright, Rule number 3, you never inhale fumes or vapors. And what I mean by this is, with the hard chemicals we are using, some of them will give off an odor. Some of them will give off a fume that could be quite dangerous. That's why you would use these things called fume hoods for dangerous or irritating chemicals. And this will basically keep any toxic fumes from being able to be breathed in. So always make sure before you work with any high level chemicals, you always have what's called a fume hood, okay? Alright, number 4, never taste any chemical. Some chemicals are very corrosive, meaning poisonous in very small quantities, meaning it doesn't matter if you think it's a joke. If you were to take a tiny sip of whatever you think it was, it can be really bad for you. It can hurt you quite bad. And I'm fairly certain you wouldn't want to have a really bad tummy ache, because that would be not very good. So just don't do it. Ready? Alright. Never perform an unauthorized experiment and never work in a lab without an instructor in charge. And when I mean instructor, that is me. Not a lot of teachers here know about chemistry or are certified or licensed to teach chemistry. So you can't go off and do your own experiment unless I approve of it, because I need to make sure what you're doing is safe, so I'm liably safe, and I don't want you getting hurt anyways, so let's not do anything that could possibly bring us to an ER visit, right? Alright, number 6, never remove anything, whether that be chemicals or glassware, etc., from the lab. It is illegal. If you bring any hard substances or anything else outside of this classroom, it is illegal, because this is the only place in the school that chemical or anything else should be let out of, okay? Unless I say it's okay and I check it off with you, you do not ever let it leave this room or the lab. Capiche? Any questions about that? No? Alright. Number 7. This is important. Some students have failed their finals because they didn't make this mistake. Always label containers to identify their contents. You do not want to make that mistake. I had a student a few years ago who was taking their very final, and at the end of this course you will be taking a final where you will have to make a mixture of certain chemicals, and you have to do it at a good filtration amount, and you have to measure it out. So just FYI, spoilers. Always look at the bottle and read and memorize what you're putting in, because even if it looks small, they can never understand the amount of reaction that it can have. It can be 2 tiny drops of a certain chemical, but it can also be very dangerous because those 2 could be very poisonous. It could cause lemon gas. It can make something that could possibly have this whole school evacuated. So don't ever mix something that you cannot identify you put in, right? Can someone tell me 2 chemicals that could possibly lead to a very bad substance? Bleach, right? And yeah, that can also be used, yeah. And also, don't make it in this class. I will find out, and you can be legally prosecuted for making something dangerous, so don't do it. Alright, number 9. Leave chemicals in their proper place. Do not carry original containers of chemicals to your bench shop. Do not do that. Leave chemicals where they're placed, because if you move them, they can be really confusing, and not only will be confusing for me because I can't find them to help other students, but you could have a really high processed amount of something that can be well over dangerous. Alright? Avoid touching hot surfaces, and I will be completely honest. We will be working with chemicals that will have a heat reaction, meaning it will create heat, meaning it will be hot. We will also be working around a specific element called a hot plate, and this is basically something that heats up beakers and other things that we will need. So instead of using your hand, what I want you to use is these tongs I have right here, and I want you to use these tongs as an object to use to get stuff off of a hot plate, okay? And also please make sure to not put stuff directly that is hot onto the table. Make sure to put it on some kind of stand, because we don't want any burn marks or anything onto these countertops because of how hot they can be, and they can also cause the gloss on the top of these tables to melt. So just be wary about where you place hot objects and hot elements. That's all I say, okay? All right. Number 11, rinse spills off skin immediately. And it doesn't matter if you think it's okay or if you think it's, safe. You always rinse off spills off skin immediately. Do not take the chance. I was working around a chemical I thought was safe, and I ended up spilling a little bit on my thumb, and it gave me a blister because I didn't wash it off. So don't ever risk it. Don't land in my shoes. Don't ever, ever, ever think that you can just keep any kind of element on you, okay? All right. Number 12, clean up broken glassware immediately. Now, this rule can actually kind of go in with basic lab safety, but sometimes I have to reiterate because people don't listen. Yeah, I've had some of your siblings in here, and I know who I'm talking to, and you guys know who you are. Don't ever, ever, ever just leave broken glass on the floor, because someone can slip, someone can fall, someone can get cut, and it's going to be a really bad day, because then we're going to have people come in with bleach and then clean your blood off the tiles, and I don't want that. If you are cut, this leads me to this next point. If you are cut by anything in the lab, I want you to immediately drop whatever you're doing safely, keyword, and I want you to go to the nearest sink, and I need you to wash off the cut, okay? If it's to the point where it's bleeding heavy, let me know. I can always call the nurse, and then you can go down there, and if it gets bad enough, we can always call medical services, okay? So just make sure if you break a glass, I won't get mad. I won't try to charge you with anything. As long as you clean up the broken glassware immediately, we're going to have no issue, right? We're chill. We're Gucci. All right, number 13, properly dispose of waste chemicals. Certain liquids can be poured into the sink and flushed with water, while others are poured into designated waste containers. Yep. Most solid wastes are placed in designated crocks. Your instructor will provide disposal instructions each lab. I will be handing out these red biohazard bags, and you're just going to put any hazardous experiment you do into the bags, and then you will be able to dispose of them where I tell you to put them. All right? Because I know where to put these things, you don't, and it can be very dangerous if these things were to get out because of how caustic they can be. I take rules around here really seriously. I'm not going to be a strict teacher, not unless I have to be, but right now y'all are doing your work, which kind of makes me mellow out, so I'm not going to be as heavily strict. Just make sure not to do anything that would on purposely get on my nerves, right? All right, number 15, learn to locate and operate. Okay, there are also 5 things in this lab we will always use in the event of any emergency, okay? We have the safety shower, fire extinguisher, the eye wash fountain, the fire blanket, and the fire exit, okay? The safety shower, if you have any chemicals on you that splash onto you or anything like that, you will immediately go to the safety shower. There is an eye wash fountain attached to the safety shower, so just make sure to keep an eye on where that is and know how to operate it, because sometimes even if someone else does it and they don't know how to operate it, you can give them a hand, okay? Just be wary of each other, okay? The fire extinguisher. For the fire extinguisher, you're going to take it, you're going to hold it like this, you're going to pull the pin, you are going to take the black hose, you're going to point it towards any combusting flame, and you're just going to pull the lever, and it will just spray, okay? I want you to keep spraying until the fire goes out or until the can goes empty. Gucci? All right. Eye wash fountain, I already told you about that. If you have any chemicals that splash up into your eye, please go to the fire eye wash station and wash out your eyes, because that can cause really bad pain. For one, it's worse than shampoo, I can promise you. And 2, it'll keep you from going blind just in case of how caustic the chemical is. It's not going to hurt you too deeply, right? All right, number 3, fire blanket. If you were to catch on fire, and it happens sometimes, it does. If you were to catch on fire, you are going to have the fire blanket thrown on you. And I want you to just stop, drop, and roll as we put the blanket on you. And that will just keep the fire from spreading, and that will put the fire out easy, okay? And It is tested every now and then, so if you see me go out to the fire blanket station, I'm just testing it, and then it's good for use, okay? So y'all know what that is. And the fire exit, okay? I will tell you this now, and I'm not repeating myself. There is an alarm attached to the fire exit, and it is linked with the fire alarm system in this school. If you open that door, the fire alarm will sound, because then the school thinks, hey, there's something really bad happening in the lab where the students need to evacuate, which means we have to get the whole school to evacuate, whether that be a fire or like a deadly smell or vapor or anything like that, okay? So if you joke and walk out that door and open it and the alarm goes off, you will be immediately removed from my class. And then we'll take you to the counselor and they will find another course for you to be in. Alright? Alright. Lab procedures. This is something I want you to all take note of, because this is something I will be looking for any reason when it comes to working in the lab, okay? Alright, the following are procedures that must be followed for all lab sessions. Many are safe issues as well. Okay, number 1, dress properly for labs. Wearing clothing that covers as much skin as possible. Sandals are not permitted if possible. Wear older clothes on lab day. All loose clothing and long hair must be confined. So, if we were to go into the lab, for all those girls out there, I would want you to put your hair up into a bun or a ponytail, just something that's not in the way of anything you're experimenting with, or can get the way of your face so you're able to see clearly. And if you really need, I do have hair ties back here just in case you need it, and I will be more than willing to give those out for you as well. Another thing is clothing. If you need a hoodie or if you need anything that covers most of your skin, you can always go to the Lost and Found, and we would always use hoodies there, okay? If you wear sandals in my class, if it's a one-time thing, then I'll let it slide. But if it's a multiple-time thing, or if it happens on the casual, then I will tell you to sit out from the lab until you get shoes that are lab appropriate. Okay? Is that good? We're all paying attention? Okay, good. Alright, number 2, read the entire experiment before coming to lab. And this has tanked a lot of students' grades. The instructor will briefly discuss the experiment at the beginning of each lab, and I will talk through the entirety of it, okay? If you go on ahead, and if you don't look at the instructions, and you do something reckless, you will be held responsible. Because working in this lab is a privilege. It is not a right. And if you break that privilege, then you will not be able to be in this lab again, okay? Alright, work independently, unless otherwise instructed. There will be times you'll be working in a group of 3 or 4, and there will be times you'll be working in a group of your own, okay? So make sure and don't cheat. Academic honesty still applies here, so just make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing and don't cheat, because I don't want to know what your neighbor has on their mind. I want to know what you have in your mind, okay? I want to see your learning, not your neighbor's, okay? Alright, number 5, keep the bench top uncluttered. The only things that should be on your table during lab time is stuff that I have told you to use, okay? Book bags, coats, etc. are not to be on the bench top, okay? Or the floor, or close to the lab benches. Please make sure to leave all your stuff in here, in the classroom, before we go into the lab next door, okay? Is that good? If it's a situation where you have to have it, like if you have any medication or anything like that, always come talk to me, and then we can find a way to work around, okay? Alright, number 6, keep drawers closed. Drawers or cabinets are to be kept closed except when items are being taken from or returned to the drawers, okay? It'll be cluttered, it will look really bad, and it will give everyone else hell, okay? You need to make sure once you're done taking anything you need out of the cupboard, you need to close it, and you need to make sure that it is closed, okay? Because we don't want to be, dropping your pencil, you lean down to grab it, you lift your head up, and then you hit your head on the corner of the wooden cabinet. I've been there. It hurts. So just make sure to always make sure to close the drawers every time that you take anything in or out of it, because it'll just keep everything look nice, and it'll keep everything organized, okay? Take only planned breaks. If the need arises to take a short break, you may do so at any time during the experiment with these points in mind, okay? So just make sure to remember these, write these down, okay? Try to plan the break during a less critical time in the experiment. That is basically when you're trying to do cooling or something like that, okay? Make sure that your hot plate is turned off. Do not leave it on. It will get hot and it will make the room smell like burning. I've had that. All right, and inform a neighbor and the instructor. So if you need to take a break, whether that be for any reason or if you hurt yourself, make sure to let a lab partner know. Or if you're working alone, you can always come talk to me, and then I'll basically okay it, and you can do whatever you need to do, okay? And finally, number 9, clean up at the end of lab. That is something I have to tell my students all the time, and if you want the fastest way for me to not like you, not cleaning up your station when you're done is the surefire way. So don't leave your desk clutter, okay? Do not leave the tabletop a clutter, because that can make it very confusing and stressful situation, because you have to do your experiment, but you also have to clean up something, okay? At the end of a lab session, return clean glassware to your drawer, clean your bench top, and finally wash your hands thoroughly. Be sure all electrical devices and water are turned off, okay? So that would be any microscopes, or that would be any heating elements, or anything that could use electricity. Don't make sure that it's all unplugged, and make sure that it's all nice and cleaned off, okay? And this goes with your hands. Always make sure to wash your hands before and after every experiment, because then it will keep any toxic chemicals that's in this room stay in this room, right? And most of it can be cleaned off with basic soap, but there are some chemicals that we will be working with that will require more heavy-duty soap, okay? And I'll make sure to give those out, okay? All right, synopsis. This is basically just going through the whole class and what it's about, okay? All right, so after that, I want you to basically take this permission slip, and I need you to get it home and signed by a parent, and I need you to bring it back to me, okay? If I do not have this by the end of next week, you will not be in this class, and you will not be in any labs, okay? And labs in this class are pretty heavy of your grade. I'm pretty sure all labs, like in-person labs, are, I want to say, about 50% of your grade. The assignments are about 25, and participation is about 25. And I've had a lot of people ask this, so I'm going to restate it. If you needed to miss any day of lab for any reason, whether that be like a doctor's appointment or you were sick, okay, I need you to tell me the day you have, or tell me before you go to the doctor, or bring a doctor's note or something like that. Bring that to me, and then I can give you a other assignment that will equal the points for the in-person lab, okay? And it's mainly just online doing some research, okay? So just make sure you have that with you, and make sure you let me know well in advance, okay? Another thing I want to go over is participation, okay? If you are sitting down and I'm giving a lecture up here, or I'm demonstrating lab protocols, right? And if I see your head down, I will immediately assume that you're asleep, and I will dock points. And each person here has 4 participation points every day. And every time I see you put your head down or you do something you're not supposed to, I will dock points until you reach 0, and then you will get an F for that day. Okay? All right, phone policy. This is the phone policy that I see, okay? My phone policy is exactly the school's. If I see it, it's taken away, okay? If an emergency happens, whether that be a parent calls you or anything like that, please let me know, and I will make sure to not take your phone, okay? Or if it's an emergency where your parents calls you for any reason, please let me know, and I will make an exception. However, do not let it become a habit. If it's every here and there, then yeah, I'll let it slide. But if it's like an every class day thing, then yes, I will take your phone, and I will contact the office, and your parents will have to come pick it up. Okay? Is that all good? All right. One last thing I want to go over is snacks. And I know some students in this school have dietary needs, whether that be allergies or any other disease like diabetes, okay? I will be giving out snacks every here and there as like a little treat. If you have any dietary restrictions, you need to let me know, so then we can either work out an alternative, or I can be more aware of what I need to avoid, okay? Like if you're allergic to peanuts, I'm not going to make cookies with, peanut butter. But if you have any other things, important things that I need to know, I would recommend you tell me well in advance, okay? All right, what I want you to do is I want you to pull out your notebook and I want you to basically write down everything you've learned today, and then, all right, that's the 5-minute bell. Everyone go ahead and pack up. Yes, sweetheart. Oh, you do? All right, thank you for telling me, okay? Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for that, okay? All right, I'll make sure to get this in because you're already 18. I will go ahead and get this already in so your parent doesn't have to sign it. Okay, your points should be in. Yeah, they should be updated, so you can go ahead and check your grade and it should be accurate for this class. All right? All right, thank you so much. All right, that's the bell. Thank you, guys. I have a good feeling about this class. I think we're going to have some real fun.